Remembering old Phil. Remembering old Phil. You know, it's Grandpa Hickory from Texas. I was doing some thinking and reflections on my years of working. I'm retired now. I'm fixing to be 73 years old. And I remember old Phil when I hired in out there. He made my life just as miserable as he could. He had a school buddy. We called him Playboy Brian because he messed with women all the time out there. He was a very filthy man. He was married, so was old Phil, but that didn't make any difference to them. They had the morals of snakes. They liked to commit adultery and stuff like that. They had very foul, filthy mouths. Well, anyway, I come to work there and everything, and I remember one time, you know, for punishment and stuff, they put me cleaning bathrooms, and I had to have the job. My wife had cancer, and I had insurance on her with Aetna Insurance, which is the sorriest insurance on earth, and they helped kill my wife. But anyway, I had to put up with it. I remember one time I was in the bathroom cleaning. I had to clean all the sinks and everything and wipe them all down. He come walking there and he looked at me and he said, "You know what? They're making me plant manager. You know what the first thing I'm going to do on my agenda?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "I'm going to have you scrubbing all these walls in here, them baseboards." He kept his word. Oh, listen, he made my life just as miserable as he could. Him and old Playboy Brian. I tell you what, I could tell you some of the things they did with women out there, and it's a crying shame. It really is. They would get with these women, and then they would make them a manager and put them over a different apartment. And one, old Phil and Brian, they took her down to Camden, Arkansas. She was a clerk. That's all she was a clerk. She handled just a little bit of money, what they called the coffee kitty. And they took her down to Camden. She was going through a divorce with her husband. He was a tool salesman. And they all spent the night together in a room down there in Camden. They bragged about it. Then they went out and drank, got drunk, and all that stuff. Well, anyway, they come back. They made her a top manager. She went over every manager. Now, this is a defense plant. I'm not going to say the name of it. And she was one of the sorriest individuals you could ever imagine. When she walked, she'd clomp her heels real, real loud. And this was supposed to put fear in you, you know. Oh, listen, she was the most dumbest female I think I ever met in my life. And she wasn't blind, friend. She wasn't a blonde. She had the morals of a snake, and she liked snakes. She didn't like me, because I prayed and I'd read my Bible at work. I had a little New Testament I'd read, and they wanted that stopped, and they stopped me. Now, the Muslims that worked there, they were allowed to read their Korans, and they even had a big prayer room down in a building. It's called the Thager Building, and they had them down there, a big old prayer room, and they'd go in there with their rolled up rugs, and they'd set them down. It sounded like they was vomiting in there. They made the most horriblest guttural sounds you could ever imagine. And these were Muslims. These were Muslims. And, you know, it was okay, anything they did. But me being an American, you know, me being a Christian, they didn't like it. Because, you see, I was in a den of snakes, literally. It was like dwelling in a cave of snakes. And it was horrible what I went through. Absolutely horrible. And I am so thankful to God I'm out of there. My allergies are acting up on me this morning. But did you ever have to work for people like that just deliberately made your job hard and full of misery? I've talked to a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds nowadays. They're extremely intelligent. And they told me, we don't want to work for people like that. And you know, employers say, well, they can't get help. Well, no, they want to pay them peanuts. They done took pensions away from everybody and increased the manager's pay, and the CEO gets, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year, 35 million, 25 million, because they stole it all from the employees. And they feel like they deserve that kind of money. And everybody else, well, you know what they are. You know what their political party is, because they consider themselves elite. So you know what they are, but they'll walk up and tell you that they're Republican. They're not. They're not. Their lives show you a completely different thing. They're not conservatives. They don't care about America or Americans. And they treated the employees like dirt, unless you was one of their drinking buddies. And now if you was one of their drinking buddies, man, they took good care of you. Isn't that a crying shame? But I remember old Phil, he came down with cancer. It just about ate him in two. He died a horrible death. And his wife was killed. I was living in Joshua, Texas at that time. And I didn't even know she lived there, but she had went out to get in her little pickup truck she had. And this man come up with a 9mm and knocked her over. She had opened up her door, was getting in her pickup, and he shoved her over, and he jumped in. The police were after him. And he started it up and drove off. Well, he drove down to the police station, told her to get out. She opened the door. As soon as she did, he shot her. She fell out the door on the concrete sidewalk and laid there, was bleeding to death. And then he drove off. Well, the police went after him. And I don't know if they ever caught that man or not. But isn't that something? And then old Brian, he retired. I'm pretty sure he's dead by now. He is one of the biggest, partiest persons I ever met in my life. He had the morals of a snake, him and Phil both, old Phil. But I sure am glad I'm out of there. I thank God I'm retired, and I feel for all you young people that have to go out and get these jobs nowadays with nothing to look forward to. No pensions, 401ks are nothing but scams. You know that just as well as I do. But I tell you, I was just remembering old Phil. And I thought I'd just make a little video about it, just kind of tell you people some of the things I went through. I worked there for 35 years. And I am so thankful to God that I'm away from them kind of people. I don't understand why corporations hire people like that. But even the higher-ups in that company, is a defense company, I'm not going to say the name of it. Even the higher-ups were nothing but a bunch of playboys. They was all in a drinking club. They'd all get together down in what they called the war room. And call his secretary and say, hey, tell them, call so-and-so, so-and-so, and tell them to meet me in the war room. And boy, the secretary, she thought, war room? Boy, she was on the phone quick calling all those guys. He said to meet him in the war room. Oh, thank you. And boy, here they'd all come. They'd all go in that little conference room. And I had to go in there cleaning. They made me clean. They did everything they could do to me to punish me, to try to make me quit. They'd be sitting in there on company time, drinking. Sitting there drinking. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? But anyway, I'm glad I'm out of there. Hey, please hit the like button. I'm inviting you to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you on the next video. This was the one on remembering old Phil.